Hi, art students. This week, we're going to continue to work on our art projects, and let's start with the Godzilla of the week. So first, let's look at the numbers. Legion is actually a Gamera monster. Gamera is like a fighting turtle, like Godzilla. Anyways, he only got 4 votes, so not very many. Mechagodzilla Classic got 15 votes for second place, which is pretty good. And Godzilla 2000 received 20 votes. And then finally Mogra, who you probably don't even know who that is, only received 4 votes. So Godzilla 2000 is the winner. And so I'm going to show you Godzilla 2000. So here he is. Okay. You can tell that this Godzilla's way, like, he's different than the other Godzillas. Like, look at his spines, like they're all spiky. And he has a real more aggressive look. He's pretty awesome. This particular model, this white is actually glow-in-the-dark plastic. He came molded in this white, so I painted all the green but left the white, so that all the white parts, like his teeth and his claws and his spines, they actually glow in the dark. He's pretty cool. So this is Godzilla 2000. He's from the movie Godzilla 2000, which was a new movie back at the time, but now that's like 20 years old. So he's pretty rad. All right. Okay. Don't forget, most of you are finished with your first project. So 4th grade is finished with their Rubik's Cubes, and 5th grade is finished with their Perspective VCS, and 6th grade should be finished with their Perspective City. So don't forget, you need to turn in your homework. You can bring it to school during your pod time. So during pod time, you'll actually bring your artwork to school, and in your home classroom for pod time, there should be a big art folder. There's a big art folder, and normally I put supplies in there. So you take your artwork and you put it in there in the folder. And then I also have art supplies for this week as well. So for 4th grade, you'll get a packet of Campbell soup stuff. So there'll be like a page of Campbell soup cans, and there'll be kind of like a not cardboard, but cardstock paper that you can cut out a can. So there'll be a little packet. And then for 5th grade, you picked it up last week, but if you missed it last week, there's also a packet. So it's like a Starbucks packet. And there'll be like 3 pages of Starbucks doodle ideas, and there's some pages. And then 5th grade also gets a Sharpie, like a ultra fine point. And then for 6th grade this week, you're going to get like 6 pages of construction paper, colored construction paper. So pick that up. Now, remember, when you come to pod time, you'll bring your work and put it in there, and then get those art supplies, whatever grade you're in, and you'll get those specific art supplies, and you'll take them home. And then you'll turn in your artwork in that folder. So 6th grade's going to turn in their city, their Perspective City. 5th grade's going to turn in their VCS, and I already got a couple. So here's some you can see. So I already got a couple of these for 5th grade. And then 4th grade, you'll turn in your Rubik's Cubes. You'll actually put it in that folder. Now, you can also turn it into the office. So let's say a parent, is just going to run to school to pick something up. Your parent can actually drop off your artwork in the office. I have a big art folder in the office. That's optional. And they can also pick up art supplies in the office too. In that big art folder in the office, I have the different art supplies for the different grades. So they can kind of look through that folder and they can find what they need to bring home for you, right? But it's better that you pick up your art supplies during pod time. Now, if you're a remote only student, if you're remote only, then, and you want to turn in your artwork, you can just take a picture of your artwork, like you can have a parent take a picture of it and they can just email it to me. They can email it to me directly, or you can upload it to Canvas. Either way works. I'll check both. I'll check Canvas and I'll see, oh, this person, sent me a picture. I'll check it out. Or if you send me an email directly, I'll find that as well. So make sure you're finishing your artwork and turning it in as soon as you get a chance. Okay, so don't procrastinate. Make sure you get that stuff finished and turned in to me. If for some reason it's a week late, that's okay, but you don't want to get too far behind, because I understand that like I upload this video on, I think everyone starts on Tuesday, but like if your pod time is on Monday, which I don't think it is. So, but anyways, if you did miss your, if you missed your chance to turn it in, you can just turn it in next week, right? Or get your art supplies. So that's fine. So make sure I get those projects, pick up your art supplies, and if for some reason you can't come to school, for some reason you can't come to school, then just try to find art supplies at home. So maybe you have colored, if you're in 6th grade, you need construction paper. Maybe you have some construction paper at home. Maybe you need a Sharpie for 5th grade. Maybe you just have a Sharpie at home. You can find it, or maybe you can talk your parents into just getting one. Like I'm not asking for crazy stuff. I'm asking for stuff that normally you have at home, and if not, it's probably a good idea to have at home, like markers or crayons. Like you have crayons. You don't have crayons? You should probably go get some. Everyone, it's a good idea to have crayons at home, right? Anyways, or markers or whatever. So anyways, that's it. So let's get onto the video where we actually start our artwork. Hi, 4th graders. Today we're going to learn about Andy Warhol. And he was an eccentric artist that was really famous, and you'll hear about him your entire life. He was a popular artist. And he did a lot of interesting abstract and pop art during the 60s. That's what he's most well known for. Now here's a picture of him. So you can see he's this is my favorite picture with his Dachshund here. Just because I love dogs and it's kind of fun. So, but anyways, you can see he's kind of eccentric looking, which means kind of unusual. But he was very creative, and he became super popular. And so let's find out why. Here's some pictures of him when he's younger. Here's when he's kind of older. He actually died in 1987. So he was only 58 years old when he died. But like I said, you'll hear about him your entire life. So let's look at some of his artwork. Let's see here. Where's the first one? Okay, here we go. So here, I'm going to zoom in on it. So he's famous for painting these pop art icons. Icon is like an image that everybody recognizes, right? And so he started off as a kind of a graphic designer, and graphic designer is different nowadays than it was in the 60s. In the 60s, they didn't have computers and they didn't have all kinds of fancy stuff, so they did a lot of graphic design art by hand. And so if you're a graphic artist or a graphic designer, you would actually and they would use photography, but a lot of times they would hand draw products, whether it's like a TV set or a radio, right? Back in the day, or a Campbell soup can. And so what happened was he was kind of drawing this stuff, and he was like, you know what? Even a Campbell soup can, which is a very basic, generic, everyday item, a Campbell soup can be a work of art if I draw it, and then display it on a wall. Even a Campbell soup can be art, and that was kind of his idea. And so what he did is he did like 100 of these things. And so let's zoom in, let's look at him. You're like, oh my gosh, that's boring to do that 100 times. Yeah, that's kind of unusual, but it would have been real interesting to imagine going to an art gallery, and normally there's like a picture of the Mother Mary, right, or a landscape, like trees and stuff like that, and then all of a sudden it's like, hey, what's that over there? It's like there's this Campbell soup can. There's like 100 of them, and like you go over there and you look at them, and it's real kind of unusual. That's what made it so special, is that it was different. It was kind of a brand new idea. Andy Warhol, he's the one who popularized this idea of everyday objects can be artwork, and we take it for granted. You're like, big deal, that's not art. But in the 1960, I think it was like 1962 is when he did, I think so. That was a new idea, and there's not very many new ideas. You've grown up in a world where all the new ideas have already happened. I mean, there might be a new idea down the line, but this was brand new, and so people were like, this is amazing, this is so weird and interesting. Anyways, I'm gonna zoom in on this so you can see he just basically did the same thing, but there's all kinds of different kinds of soup, right? Clam chowder, chicken noodle's my favorite. Onion soup, right? Bean, well, I like bean with bacon growing up. I used to eat that. So all these different kinds of soups, and they're all framed and they're all positioned in order, and this was like a big deal. He also did Coca-Cola bottles too. So, but he's known for Campbell soup, right? I'm a small image, but I actually have a Campbell soup here. So I have a Campbell soup. They exist. Maybe, have you had a Campbell soup? When I was growing up, Campbell soup was kind of the only soup. But nowadays, there's so many different kinds of soup that you probably haven't even had a Campbell soup. But me growing up, I had this all the time. I had like bean and bacon I liked, chicken noodle I liked. Let's see, what else? Oh, I liked vegetable beef. Yeah. Oh wait, do they have it? I'm sure it's in there somewhere. Anyways, Campbell soup was a bigger deal back in the day. Nowadays, there's a million different kinds of soup. So it may not seem as iconic to you. Remember, iconic means something that everybody recognizes, right? Or, iconic. The cross is an icon. The cross for, anyways, religious symbols, Star David, cross. Okay, here's another very popular paint. Now the Campbell soups he actually painted by hand. He painted those things. 100 times he painted those things, and that's a lot of work. But this one's Marilyn Monroe. But this painting went by a different name. It was like Marilyn. It was like her original name, I believe. But what happens is this was silkscreen, and silkscreen is a process where each color is a separate piece of film. It's like what you would do is, and I don't know exactly how you do it, but you use like kind of chemicals, and it kind of burns away the part that you don't want. So you're just left with like an area that's going to be painted. And so he would have to do a different silkscreen sheet or paper. It wasn't a paper. It's kind of like a piece of film for every color. So, and then what he would do is he would kind of like, you would put it down and you would put the paint on it. And so like the hair would be a silk screen, the skin would be a silk screen, and then you could change the colors too. And so we'll see that he did that. Here you can see he did it in black and white. Now, this is Marilyn Monroe, and she was a famous celebrity. I mean, she still is. She's recognizable, Marilyn Monroe. But Andy Warhol also made her a famous image. So I think as you grow up, when you see images of Marilyn Monroe, she was a famous movie actress, but Andy Warhol also kind of made her famous because of his pop art and his different images of her. So anyways, you take it for granted, But imagine a world where this didn't exist and then all of a sudden it happened. It was kind of an amazing thing, and that's why he's so popular. Okay, well, anyways, here you can see, and me personally, I like this image. I like it because of its abstractness. Like, I'm into that kind of art. You know, obviously, I like the skill of painting a realistic painting. Of course I do. But I also like the different imagery and the different views of all these different pictures of just Marilyn Monroe. You can kind of see that here's kind of a normal one. Here's like a really smeared one. Here's like a faded one. You know, here's what's like, it's like half and half. So he's being creative just with a lot of different ideas, just with this one image. And I appreciate that. I think that's really neat and unusual to look at. After a while, you get tired of looking at forest image paintings. Like if you go to an art gallery and everything's just a forest, or like, you know, Mary and baby Jesus, that gets tiring after a while. Or a cathedral, it gets boring after a while. And so when you see unusual imagery like this, it's exciting. It's kind of interesting. It's a welcome addition to everything else that we're accustomed to seeing. Anyways, that's pretty interesting. Let's look at, but he really became famous for these Campbell soup cans and Marilyn Monroe. So let's see. Here's another one. Oh, I'm supposed to zoom up here. So here you can see at a gallery, he also took that big image of Marilyn Monroe and he used a lot of different colors. And you can see that here's a woman at a gallery viewing these images. You can see they're very large and how interesting and colorful they are. By using the silkscreen process, he was able to change the color of her skin, her hair, the background, and it really creates a real interesting way to look at color and design. It's almost like Marilyn Monroe herself has become abstracted. It's her still, but she's like shape and form, and it's like the colors applied to it. And so again, real interesting to look at. And so this kind of imagery is what you'll see all the time. Like for the rest of your life, you're gonna see stuff like this. And you'll be like, what's up with that? And you'll be like, oh yeah, Andy Warhol, silk screening, and it was like pop art. And I learned that in Mr. Smith's class, right, back in the day. Back in 4th grade, right? But this is real famous, and it's fun too. And they use this kind of artwork in all kinds of things, like purses, dresses, posters. You'll see this everywhere. And they kind of take this art look, style, and they apply it to different things. So you'll grow up with this. This is popular, and it's all from Andy Warhol. Anyways, it's fun, and it's interesting. Okay, finally, let's look at these soup cans. So here's a bunch of different soup cans. And the normal soup can was like red and white, right? Red and white. I don't have it. Well, you can't. Well, I guess I'll show you. So it's right here. So this was the regular soup can, right? But what happened was he could silk screen these soup cans or paint them and make all kinds of different looks for the soup can, like green and yellow, or blue and red, or purple and, you know, this is like kind of like a all these different colors, yellow and like burgundy. That's kind of like valley colors, right? So there's a lot of different looks that you can come up with these soup cans. And this is what we're going to do today. So today we have, for our Campbell Soup Cans project, we have 2 sheets of paper. One of them looks like this. I'll show you. Let's see. It's this one. So you have 4 soup cans, okay? And I want you to color them in different colors, right? Not the regular soup can look, not this, but different colors. And you can pick them. Green and orange, blue and yellow, right? Whatever you like, whatever you like. It just has to be different. And I want you to color it neatly, right? Kind of like this. And you can pick, you can look at these, you can get ideas from this, whatever you like. Green and red. I'll show you too, I'll color it. Purple and blue, whatever you want. Right? So, different look. Each can is going to be different. You're going to color the cans, okay? We'll talk about that. Next week, not this week, next week, we actually have a can to make. So it kind of looks weird. It's like a wrapper that'll go around the can, and you can kind of see the top and the bottom. So again, you're gonna color, it's upside down, but you have this, and it's on cardstock. Cardstock is a thicker, it's not as thin as paper, it's a little thicker, and so when we fold it, we'll actually be able to make a can, and it'll be pretty neat. But this is for next week. So next week for this week we're going to talk about this, and we're going to color it as neatly as possible. So that's enough talk about Andy Warhol, but remember him because he'll be with you for the rest of your life. One more thing I forgot to mention about Andy Warhol is he was kind of unusual, but he was artistic, but he was really famous for like his celebrity. Like he was really popular, and all the movie stars and all the famous celebrities, they would always go to his house. Like he would throw these parties, and he would always hang out with all these celebrities, and he'd photograph them. He was a photographer too, and people just liked him. I guess he was probably easygoing, but a lot of people like to go hang out with him. He was popular too. They liked to hang out with him. He was popular. But as an artist, he was creative, but he was also an artist because he was popular and famous. And so he's one of the artists that he was known for being famous. Whatever. Anyways, that's enough of Andy Warhol. Let's go to our Campbell soup cans now. Okay, fourth graders, now is the time to color our Campbell soup cans. So you have 4 Campbell soup cans, and you cannot color them just normally, right? So not like this, right? That's typical. We're going to pick different colors. So instead of red, maybe green and yellow, maybe purple and pink, maybe blue and red. It's up to you. But not, what is this? This is like red and white? No, not red and white. Okay, not even one of them. Here, I'll put this right here. You can look at it. Okay. I was trying to focus on that. That was cute. Okay, don't focus on that. Okay, great. So what are we going to use? Well, you can use crayons, you can use colored pencils, or you can use markers. If you use markers, I recommend the thin, small ones. But anything works. Whatever you have at home. Colored pencils and thin markers are probably the best. But you want to color neatly. Okay? So when I say neatly, I'm going to show you what that means. So I'll use all 3 different materials. And let's see what we got here. So I'm going to start with green and I guess this light blue. So I'm going to move this down. Okay. Yeah, focus. Okay. So I'm going to try to color neatly with my colored pencil. The first step is I recommend that you edge or you outline around the area that you want to color. And before I forget, I've already forgotten. You don't need to color the background. You don't need to color the background because what we're going to do at a later time, not over the next couple weeks, but later, hopefully when we return to school, we're going to cut out our cans and we're actually going to glue them onto colored paper backgrounds. So you don't have to color the background, just the soup, okay? Anyways, I'm going to kind of go around the edge here. Let's see here. That way it'll help me color in neatly around. You can turn your paper if you have to. When you use colored pencils, and I mentioned this when we colored our Rubik's Cubes, is that the longer you press at an angle, it'll kind of create a chisel. And the chisel just means it has a broader edge, and that means that it's easier to color, and that's good. Now I could edge all in here around the word Campbell's. Let's see. I'm kind of edging as needed, and then I'm coloring in. The key is, boy, you can't see it because my hand is in the way. Oh, it's hard to see. The key is to not have the little white spots left over. You want it to be solid. And I can't stress that enough. I get a lot of students where they're like, it's good enough. No, it's not good enough if you have little white spots. So you want to make sure you do a good job. Okay, so let's see here. And this gets tricky. Look, when that thin word condensed, gotta be careful. But colored pencils are probably the best way to get fine detail on these Campbell soup cans. Okay, let's see here. This takes forever. Because I edged, it's a little easier. I don't have to worry about going outside the lines. Look at how, let's see if I can show you. Look at how that edge, it's all wide, right? But that's good. It kind of helps me fill in this bigger area. So let's see here. Okay. Okay, so let's see. I want to make sure I got all the white parts. Oh, and there's a little strip right here on top. So let's see, I got to get that. Okay, I got it. Okay, now, it doesn't, the camera is not making this look very good. Let's see. That's pretty solid. I could probably get it a little more solid maybe over here. It looks pretty solid in person, but maybe it's because it's a lighter color. I don't know. But now I got to fill in like these little spots, like in between the A and the B, right? Now, the chisel on my green is really big, right? Wide. So I'm going to use that tiny little tip. It's almost like a mini little chisel or a little point to color in the fine points on my, in between my letters, right? So you got to kind of move your pen, you got to move, if you're using a colored pencil, you got to move it around until you get that little point, and then you can kind of go in and color in those little tiny spots carefully and neatly. And that looks pretty good. Oh, I messed up a little. Okay. Oh, and then what about the condensed, right? Again, I can just be very careful and go around those letters. Let's see. I'm going to go around some of them because I don't want to take forever. But you'll finish it completely. Oh yeah. So with the thin point of my colored pencil, I can get in there pretty neatly. Let's see here if I can finish it. Let's check it out. You can't see it. It looks good though. Trust me. Trust me on that. Okay. Now I'm going to use blue. So I'm going to use blue for down here. Again, I would go around the edge first. So let's see here. This is tricky because it has all the tomato soup, the words. And the question is, what's a good color for that? Well, it could be any color. Oh boy, look at these little details, little filigree details. Messed up. You just want to be careful and you want to edge around details. So let's see here. So here's my tomato. I can just kind of edge around it. Let's see. Let's see. I'll do the T and the O. You kind of just want to go in there first. There. See how I kind of went around the T and the O? Then what I could do is I can just color. Now when you color, It helps to go in the same direction if you can. On this guy, I kind of went this way, left and right. Um, and that's fine, but you just want to keep it consistent. You want to keep it as same as much as you can. Sometimes you can't. Sometimes you have to turn your paper. For my blue, I'm just going to go left to right this way. And as long as you're coloring strokes or marks go in the same direction, it will also help it to look neater. And don't forget, you can like color over a certain part. Let's see here. Oh, see, I had to go in a little different direction there. It's fine. Okay, now I'm getting to the M. So again, I'm gonna like edge around it. If you want, you can edge around everything first and then go in, but here, I'm going around some of it as needed. The trick is to keep it consistent. Now here it'd be hard to go left and right, so I am going to go in a different direction. It's just a small area. It's easier to go this way. So it's not like you always have to go in the same direction. Okay, let's see here. I got to finish one of these. I'm edging around the... Okay, here we go. Alright, let me go around the soup here real quick. Now, I don't want to see a lot of white on your tomato soup cans. Like, not you, but there's some students that are real lazy. And they're like, oh, I know. I'll have the top green and the bottom white. Because that's what it normally is, right? It's like a white on the bottom. No, that's lazy. So pick two different colors, right? If you want, you can have some of your lettering white, but it looks better if you color it. And not like all of the lettering white. I'm talking like a little bit. Like maybe this one, the tomato, is white because it has like a nice dark background. And then maybe the Campbell's on this one is white. But don't like do every lettering white. That's lazy. And I want to see color. I want to see color variety. Now the question is, can you use more than two colors on a can? Well, you're going to have a main color on the top and a main color on the bottom. But as far as there's like a medallion in the middle, it's like kind of like a medal. Your medallion can be a different color. Usually it's like a yellow or an orange, but it doesn't have to be. It can be pink or red or whatever you want it to be. But yeah, you can use different colors for the lettering. For the metal, don't leave the metal white. It could be gray or it can be a color. If you don't have, let's see. Usually if you have colored pencils, you have a gray. But if you don't have colored pencils and you're using, and crayons, do we have a gray crayons? No. But you can use a color. Okay, let's see here. Let me finish this. Okay, there's little details. They're like little, I don't know what they are. They're little designs at the bottom of the can. And you want to be careful to kind of go around them. Usually those are like gold. So you can make them, but they don't have to be. They could be pink, they could be whatever you want. It's going to be hard for me to show you, but you'll see it when you get your paper, these little details. So try your best to be as neat as possible. You want this project to be neat because we're just coloring. It's not like we're doing anything groundbreaking in this. And so neatness really matters. Okay. Okay, so now you don't want to leave this white. So if you have a gray, let's see, do I have a gray colored pencil? Let's see. Maybe I don't. Sometimes you do if you have like a big set. Oh, I got this color. What's this, green? I'll just use this dark green. I'm going to use dark green. So I'm going to use dark green. In theory, if you don't use as much pressure, it will make it a lighter value and it won't be so dark. And so here, this is a dark green, but I am not pressing down as hard. It doesn't mean you're still going to have white spots. You don't want to have white spots. Okay, I need a little bit of green in here. It's just a lighter green. I probably should have picked a different color. So technically, if you do black, technically if you do black, but you do it, but see, look neatly, right? I just didn't scribble it in there. I kind of went lightly and I went everywhere and there's really no white spots. So technically if you do that with black, let me try it. Do I have black in here? Ooh, I don't have black. I got purple. See what purple looks like. Let me try purple on this one. So I'm just faintly going. I'm trying to not leave any white parts. I didn't edge this, but I will carefully edge it soon. Remember, lightly will give you a lighter color. So if you do have a black, you can go not use as much pressure, and it will probably give you a gray. It'd be better if you had a gray colored pencil. This doesn't look so bad. Okay, so that looks pretty good. Not bad, not bad. Oh, it looks like I left a little white spot there. There. Neatness matters. Okay, well, I've got these, I got tomato soup. I got to pick a color here. Let me try crayon. So crayons are similar to colored pencils. Remember, you can just, you edge, you go around it. I'm going to try, now obviously it's hard to do crayons for like the small thin words like condensed. And then like there's like a shadow, like the word Campbell's, it has like the shape of the letter and then there's like a little shadow. So that would be hard to do with a crayon. But if you have colored pencils, you can get a fine point in that shadow and make it nicer. Let's try. I'm going to try this just color. I'll color the medallion first. Let's see. I'm going to edge. I can edge the medallion because it's just a big circle. Let's see. So I edged it. I'm just going to color it in. Yeah, crayons are pretty good. Remember, you want to be neat. Let's see. I'll turn my paper a little. Yeah, it's not bad. Okay, I'm going for tomato. So let's see. I'm just trying to use, it's harder with a crayon because a crayon has a thicker chisel usually all the time. So you want to find a point to get in there. So it's harder. So I only recommend crayons if you have 0 thin markers and 0 colored pencils. Then you would want to do crayons as like a last resort. Okay, so that's possible. It's possible. Let's see. Boy. Neatly. Neater the better. It doesn't look so good on my screen. Neat. Okay. Let's see. Markers. Let's go for markers here. These are all Crayola products too. Like, the only reason why I bring up Crayola products is usually, I don't know if it's too late, but usually at the beginning of the year at Target, they're cheaper. And you can usually get these cheap. So these are like thin Crayola markers, Crayola colored pencils, and Crayola crayons, right? And then of course we got the bigger Crayola markers too, right? Okay, so let's go for orange. Let's go for orange. And let's see if I have a thin orange in my markers. Let's see here. Yep, I do. Okay, so this time I'm gonna try to color this one. I'm gonna do the top. Let's see. Okay, I'm gonna try the big one first. So remember, I'm going to I want to edge. So let's see. It's trickier to edge because you got such a big chisel. So you almost want to use the point to edge. Let's see here. You just want to take your time because markers are less forgiving than crayons and colored pencils. Colored pencils are probably the safest. So I recommend if you have colored pencils, go for it. I mean, markers are fine. Markers or colored pencils are great. Crayons are last. But boy, I mean, you got to go slow when you're using these markers because it's easy to make a mistake and you can't really. But there, you see I'm edging it. And then I'm going to try to edge around Campbell's here. I almost recommend, see, I got that here. I'm going for the small one. It's hard to go around with such a big marker. So here's the small one, the small Crayola. This will probably help me chisel. Oh yeah, way better. I can get in the middle in there. So these are nice for the details. Let's see.
You may have different kinds of markers at home too. And like I've said earlier, that's totally fine. Maybe you have better quality markers. They have all kinds of different kinds of markers. Some are better quality than others. Some are the same. Crayola is probably the cheapest, and they're good. It really is how careful you are with them. If you're careful with a Crayola marker, you can get very good results, and it doesn't matter if it's cheaper than another brand. Um, so keep that in mind. But you can see I'm edging around Campbell's there. Let's see here. Sometimes they have big marker sets. Maybe you have a big marker set. That's fine. I don't care what markers you use. And you might have grays. Sometimes they have grays. Grays look nice for the can itself. I don't have any grays, so I have to pick a color. But that's okay. Pick a different color. Did I get everything? Oh gosh, can't even see. It's such a thin detail. Let's see. It goes right there. And if you try not to mess up, but if you mess up, just keep working and make everything else as neat as possible. The goal is to have fewer mess ups, but it's hard not to have it's hard to have zero mess ups. So just don't be sloppy. There's a difference between I made a mistake and I was just sloppy. And I can tell. I'm your teacher. I know. I can tell the difference. Yeah, these thin. Okay, so I'm not going to do all of this here. Let's see. These are working great. These are working great for little details like that word condensed. Like I can go in there and go around it real carefully. So I highly recommend these. If you have them or if you pick them up, maybe you're at Target next time. Hopefully they wouldn't be that expensive. Hey, Mom or Dad, can I get some of these? They'll be like, no. You say, it's for art class. They'll be like, okay. You can say, like, my brother or sister can use them too when I'm done with them. They'll be like, okay. Now, I edged around everything, so now I can use my bigger marker to kind of safely go in and fill in. And remember, just, be slow and neat, and it'll look great. It really just takes time. Wow, look how nice this looks. Okay, let's see here. Oh, yeah. Let's see here. Can you even see what I'm doing? My camera's in the way. I can't really move my camera. Okay, there we go. We got it. That's pretty sweet. Okay, that was very close to red. It's orange though. So let's see. Yeah, the marker looks really good. So let's see. Nice. Oh, I didn't finish over here in between those letters, but you can see the first part of condensed looks pretty neat. So markers are great. Colored pencils are great. Let's see. I hate to admit it. I think the markers win, but you just have to be more careful. Like I said, you could use anything: crayons, colored pencils, or markers. Colored pencils and markers work best. If you don't have markers or colored pencils, use crayons. And if you don't have crayons, go get some markers or colored pencils. They're good to have around the house. These markers work really well, but not just the big ones. I recommend if your parents are only going to let you buy one set, like they're like, I'm not going to let you buy all those markers, then just try to get the thin ones because these are easier for the details, right? But just say, hey mom, can I have both? Because I can use the thicker ones to fill in and the thinner ones to go around. Try to get both, but these are better for the details. Or if you have different markers at home, that's great. I don't care. I just want it to look good. You don't need to color the background, but you do need to color the whole can. Sometimes you can have some white lettering, especially for like small stuff like condensed. That's pretty thin. So like if you don't have colored pencils, let's say you're using crayons, yeah, maybe you do want to try to just leave that white, right? But don't leave all the lettering white. You can leave some of it white, but color some of it. And don't leave white spots like this. Like it's going to be a color. So maybe I would use purple here, or pink, or blue. I already did blue. So maybe yellow. I could do yellow, right? Green here. I have green on top here. Maybe you want green on the bottom here. So no white parts on your label except some of the words. You don't need to color the background, and you do need to color the metal, the can. So the can, gray is best. If you have gray, great. If you don't have gray, you can just do a color, but maybe do it lightly. Like I did a lighter purple there, or a lighter green, or maybe a lighter blue. A lighter blue would look good. If you have black colored pencil, you can go like a light black. If you have a black marker, let's see, be real careful. Don't color this part black like the can. If you don't use that in black marker, because then you'll lose all of these black outline details, right? I prefer that you don't use black at all for the can, but technically you could use black for one of your label things. But I'd rather see a color. But you could do a black in here on one of them. Don't use a lot of black. Like, I love black. I want everything to be black. No. You could do one of them black. Like, I could do this black instead of orange. But I'd rather you do a color. So just colors. Don't do the background. Because later, don't cut them out yet, but later, at a later date, we'll cut around these. But not today. We'll get all of our supplies ready, and then we'll cut these out carefully, and we'll put them on colored backgrounds. So it'll be neat. Like, so this one's green and blue. Maybe we would put that on a orange background, right? Or a yellow background, or whatever. It's up to you. Don't forget, though, very carefully put your name about the size on the back of your paper, right? You can put the letter of your classroom teacher and then circle it. So if you're in Mrs. Howe's class, you just put an H and circle it. You don't have to do that, but it helps me. Like, I'll do that if you don't. Like, I'll be like, oh, it's so-and-so. They're in Mrs. Howe's class. I put an H, circle it. That way it just helps me identify your paper. And that's it. Now, you don't need to turn this in next week if you want, because we're going to work on this Campbell Soup project for 2 weeks. So you can turn this in to me in 2 weeks. Don't feel like you have to hurry up and turn it in. You can turn it in after the second week. Next week, we're going to do the actual can itself, and we're going to color it. But don't do that other can yet. We're only doing this week. So 4 cans you're going to color, different colors, markers, colored pencils work best, crayons if you don't have markers or colored pencils. Do it neatly, put your name on the back, and that's it. Hopefully you have a fun time doing it. Take your time. Take your time. Don't rush through this. Don't rush. The neater this looks, look how neater this one looks. The marker looks good. That looks really neat. This is pretty neat. It doesn't look super neat. I think it's because I can't. Well, I could try to make that look more solid, but it looks okay. It's because light's coming through it on the back. Whatever. Does that look better? Maybe. Whatever. Color neatly. And that's it for this week. Next week we'll do our can that we'll cut out and fold, and I'll show you how to like fold it and tape it. So have a good week, and I'll see you next time. Color all 4. Bye.